All right, guys, tonight we're talking about the stories we live in, the things that we make things mean, like when there's a shift, something happens, a tone change, a trigger, somebody pulls back, there's a challenge. What does your mind say? Not about what's actually happening, but about all of it. What are we making that mean? And most of the time we don't even realize that we're doing this. We're just telling ourselves stories. So tonight we're slowing down and we're going to talk about it. We're going to look at where they come from, why they show up, and really what to do about it. Welcome in, everybody. Sheila, hello. Hey, mama. Welcome in. Happy Monday, y'all. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to connect to the headset. Let's try again. All right. Okay. Welcome in, everybody. We'll get started in just a few. But tonight we are talking about the stories we live in. Let's put that on a little sticker. Oops. It fit. Awesome. Bill, welcome in. Okay. Come down to my notes. Okay, how is your Monday, y'all? How is your Monday? I miss the music, but with YouTube, it so much makes it complicated. It's not worth it. So, Mom, can you see in the upper right-hand corner where there's like a bubble with like pictures and a number? Z, welcome in. Bev, welcome in. Thank you guys for being here. Oh, did I deleted it. I must have accidentally got rid of that little sticker. How did I do that? Put it too far. The stories we live in. Perfect. Okay. We won't. Oh my goodness. The Atomic, what's up? Happy Monday, Amy and Luna. Let's see if I can get this sticker to stay, y'all. This is third attempt. 3 times a charm, right? The stories we live in. Okay. We're going to leave it there. Whatever. It's cool. Annie, welcome in. Mom, but if you can see up in this right-hand corner, you might be able to tap on that if you see somebody come in. Oh, you don't see it. Okay, we'll go over it tomorrow. Excuse me. Richard, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Tonight we are talking about the stories we live in. Oh, okay. If you click on that, you should be able to see everybody who comes in. Not the topic, no. It's these little bubbles up here in the right with profile pictures or a number. If you see somebody come in and then they don't say anything, you should be able to tap on that and then tap on their name and do like an @ to tag. If it doesn't work, we'll go over it tomorrow, but I just kind of wanted to show you that. Holly, welcome in, lovely. Coda, welcome in. We'll get started in just a second, y'all. If you're new here, drop a 1 in the chat so we can welcome you. Tom the Taurus, welcome in. I am good. It's got a lot of things going on, but I'm feeling good. How are you? Hola, hola. Vicky, welcome in. I love having these conversations with you guys. I love talking about these topics. I'm such a nerd around this kind of stuff, so I love it. Bob, welcome in. Beautiful bestie, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for being here. Tonight, we are going to talk about the stories that we live in. Not the story, not actually what happened, but what we make something mean, right? So, say like, a friend doesn't text me back, and my immediate thought is that I'm not a good friend, that maybe I didn't respond back fast enough to something, and that's why they're not responding back to me. That's just one example of a story that we have created to make that situation mean something. It came from somewhere, right? So, basically, as children, we had to make sense of something confusing or painful that we went through growing up. And so in that, our mind needed to create a reason. And so it just grabbed something. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's true, but it was our way, our nervous system's way of trying to make sense of something where we didn't have the answers. Okay, and that just carried over throughout our life. Does that make sense, you guys? Rockwell, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Tired. Like soul tired or sleep tired? Because there's a difference. Adam. Not tonight, we're not doing guests, but we would love to have you stay and hang out and chat in the comments. I don't bring guests up on Monday night. I knew it was a trauma response. Every topic here is. Yes. We are a trauma response in general. Thanks for being here though, Adam. We would love for you to join the conversation here in the chat. Tammy, welcome in. Kathy Joe, welcome in. Techie the Kid, welcome in. Tonight we are talking about the stories we live in, y'all. Jim, welcome in. It's so crazy how the way your parents raised you affect you on so many levels. 100%. Right? Or didn't raise you. Raise or didn't raise, right? It just affects us so much. If they raised well, it's horrible if they raised you not well. Oh, it's great if they raised you well, and it's horrible if they raised you not well. And here's the thing to that, Atomic You, is that you could have amazing parents, right? My mom was amazing, but we're still fucked up in some way. Like, I learned a lot, and I have a daughter who's 23, and being on this healing journey and, basically failing forward, learning what didn't work with my daughter and what things I wanted to change, I got to do that with my son, and I feel like I'm, a good mom, but he's still going to be fucked up in some way. We just can't be perfect. And here's the thing, that's not the goal. Right? The goal is to be a real parent and to be able to let them know it's not about getting it all perfect and right, but it's what we do with those moments, because they're not going to get it perfect and right, right? If you guys have questions about anything, what's a real parent? That's a great, Veronica, welcome in. First of all, I love questions. Throw your questions in the chat. This is why we're having these discussions. For me, a real parent is somebody who is authentic. That's what I mean by like a real parent. So an authentic parent would probably be a better word that resonates. What I'm trying to say is an authentic parent. One that is able to, when I say real, what I mean is be real with how they're feeling, and to be able to say I made a mistake with my son. To be able to say, you know what? I made a mistake, dude. I could have handled this better. Let's talk about, for me, first of all, that would be a more authentic, right? Instead of sweeping it under the rug or pretending it didn't happen, pretending that I'm fine through everything, because I don't think that that's real. Humans are not okay through everything, right? And so being able to show emotion, being able to show that you're human and have tough conversations, for you to not be okay and to be okay. I'm not expecting my parents to be great, but I am expecting them to be able to have a conversation. Yeah, that's a huge expectation. Unfortunately, because most people have a really tough time having a vulnerable conversation. Shame, guilt comes up. Deflection. The shame really is a really big one. It hinders a lot of people from being able to see somebody else's side, to hold space for anybody else's emotions, or to even see what their part may have been and own up to whatever they did and do, and they're not capable. Yeah, that's really, really tough, Atomic U, because especially older generations, it's really tough for them to be vulnerable, and to admit, because if they admit that they did something that maybe wasn't perfect or good, or that maybe they did their best but it still hurt you, wasn't enough, that means that they did something wrong. And a lot of generations were not able to get things wrong, and so it just does not compute with their body. Not that that's right or wrong, but it's really, really tough, especially for the older generation. Thank you guys for being Alyssa. Hello. Welcome in, everybody. If tonight is your first night here, throw one in the chat so we can welcome you. I had no idea how to do that I was even capable, just surviving. Right, exactly, Mom. Is that most of us, we didn't even know that was an option. Like, we didn't know how to do that, or even that was a thing, because we didn't experience it. So how could we give it if we never experienced it? Bop bop. Kit Kat, welcome in. Any more questions? So who's living inside these stories? All of us. Every single one of us, okay? Even if you've been on, y'all, I've been on this healing journey over 10 years. I still live in these stories. Why? Not because they are just so automatic. They're so ingrained in us. And this is why, take a deep breath with me. We talk about slowing down so that we can begin to see when those stories show up, right? It's not about making them go away. It's not about eradicating them. It's about being able to recognize when they show up. Okay? So yeah, so again, all of us have really experienced this, whether we know it or not, especially kids who had to interpret adult behavior. Crystal, welcome in. Especially kids who had to interpret adult behavior. Okay? So kids who had to come up and try to make sense of what was going on with their parents, that would be one way that you know that you're living in some stories, because as a kid, in order to keep yourself safe, you had to create these stories about what things meant. Madeline's in the house. Thank you guys for sharing it out. Also kids who had to fill in gaps when no one explained what was happening. Say your family went through something that felt traumatic, or that was jarring, or change. Change can be extremely traumatic, especially for kids. If you didn't have people in your life, especially adults and caretakers, parents who would explain things, then we had to try to make sense of what that meant and why. Some of us lived in stories. Finding authentic is interesting and scary. Yeah, and like Frosty said, some kids had to live in those stories because that was the only way to get by, right? Because if not, it was too much for their nervous system to be in that reality of what was happening there. And so their body and their brain said, hey, we need a way to try to regulate and keep ourselves safe. We have to create a story in order to make it through this shit. Okay? Carl, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. If you have questions, throw them in the chat. Elisa, welcome in. Lord help me, I'm just an open book. Welcome to the club. I'm an open book too. And this is where we're learning. People who are now emotionally aware, right? Oh, I've been reacting to the meaning I gave things, not the thing itself. Is it Danny or Danielle? Yeah, and you know what? That is extremely common with SA. In a few weeks, we're actually talking, actually, I think it's next month, we're going to talk all about SA and how it wasn't safe and still often isn't safe to be in their body. And so we handle things a little differently. Tara's in the house. Hello, lovely. And it takes a lot to be able to, so when we say out of survival, I want to say this, is that we're going to dip in and out of survival, y'all. It's not about one or the other. It's not about living in the present and never going into survival. The goal is to have breaks, to be able to begin to have some predictability, to create some trust and solid ground within yourself. That's what I help people do. That's what I help women do. I work with women and men one-on-one. No matter if you have a diagnosis, no matter the trauma, is creating safety in and outside of yourself to create solid ground so that you can begin to live the life that you want. If something wasn't explained to me, I'd sit around making shit up in my head and figure it out on my own. 100%, right, Holly? Because what else were we supposed to do, right? We had to try to make sense of it. So much trauma, you just shove some more down. And I'm sorry, was it Elisa? Let me know if I'm not getting that right. Is that, yeah, because it can be overwhelming to our nervous system trying to process things. that this is why I'm so passionate about having at least one safe person, a coach, a therapist, where you can create some predictability so that you can begin to trust and feel safe, so that you can slowly begin to what is the word I want? So that you can begin to pause and see what's happening, right? It's not what we don't want to do is overload the system trying to work through and process all of our trauma at once. That is, and for a lot of people, that would actually make it worse. And so what we want to do is focus on creating safety, creating some solid ground in a world that has never felt safe. Danny, okay. Got you, Danny. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. SA is, I don't know that I can, well, I can't say it, but I don't even think we can type it. Let's see if somebody responded already. Okay, yep, Danny responded. Yep. All right, everybody got, thank you guys. Oops, I didn't even know. Okay, let's see. You are all good. And let's see. I'm catching up, you guys, on the comments. What is that? Let me see. Oh, so it's like a processing, Danny? I mean, I haven't specifically worked with somebody with that, but we could talk more about it. I actually have a free 30-minute connection call that's free. So you could hop on a call with me. We could talk about whatever you want. See if I can get you some answers or help. Thank you guys. I appreciate ya. So I've been feeling super tired recently, but at the same time, I'm working through a lot of old emotions, and I'm like healing emotionally, mentally. Any thoughts? Yes. So first of all, it is extremely common to be exhausted. Also, hold on. Obviously, I can't do two things at once right now. Okay, so the Atomic You said, I've been working through a lot of things, or I've been tired recently, but he's working through a lot of things emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Any thoughts? And so to that, I would say, first of all, it makes sense. Okay. Second of all, it can easily become another job of healing. And we can have, what is the word? Healing burnout. Okay. So that is a real thing. So just be aware of that. It also matters what we're consuming as far as our food, our water, our air, the social media, news, all of that does contribute to that, right? Baby steps. I'm all about baby steps, because if we do too much at once, we're going to crash and burn. Okay. And that is really tough for a lot of people, because we want to do all the things, take all the courses. And I'm speaking from experience. I have experienced healing burnout. I am one of those people. So, also, the real of it is when you're working through shit, your body is going to excrete, right? So you might have more bowel movements. If you can move your body at all, it needs to get out somehow. Okay, so a sauna, any kind of sweating, any movement of your body, it has to get out somehow as well. Okay, so if you're thinking about these emotions and this trauma, we're working through it, but where's it going? You have to give it a job, give it something to do. It has to get out of your body. Screaming, scream therapy, things like that. I was born in 1953, and I think everyone was neglected by our parents. And that, yes, because people don't know what they don't know, and they can't give what they didn't get. Right? So this is why we're seeing a lot of generational changes, and it can be really tough for the older generation because that was not their reality. That was not their truth. That's not what they experienced, and it lives differently in their body. And so we could have had really great parents and they didn't know emotionally how to be there, right? So it's not to blame. It's just we're using... None of this is to create shame or blame on anything. It's just information. Old emotion, yeah. Yes. Angela, hello. Hi, lovely. Thank you. How are you? Obviously, I am catching up, you guys, so thank you, mods, because you guys are friggin' amazing. We got Frosty, we got Holly, and we got Tara in the house. Thank you guys, because about 40 messages behind. Right, Danny, I looked that up, so we could definitely check it out. Yes. No worries. If you go to my link tree, Danny, you can schedule, my calendar's right in there, so you can schedule whenever is convenient for you. Makes sense. I am unhealed Capricorn. It's all about accomplishing hard to do baby steps. Welcome to the club. This is why I talk about it so much, is a lot of us can feel weak, like we're not doing enough, that and we don't want to feel weak. Weak is not okay. And none of this actually means that we're weak. That's just the story that we tell ourselves, because somewhere, if we weren't producing, then it was not enough. It meant that love was withheld, time was withheld, food, all the things. And so, or, that there were physical repercussions for not being strong, or what your caregivers or parents wanted or needed you to be. Going through a rough patch, and you're really helping me. Aw. Well, we are glad that you're here. And for all the ladies in the chat, we have a Sacred Middle, which follows this right after this live. So 5 p.m. Pacific. 5 to 7, you get, it's a group coaching for women only. It's a small group. So I run that, and you can grab a seat. It's on Zoom, so we have more freedom to talk and share and really dive into these topics. So every Monday, we have the Sacred Middle following the TikTok live about the same topic. Hey, Farah! Right, Holly? Yeah, baby steps are so hard for a lot of us. Sadly, never heard of healing burnout. It's probably what's going on. Interesting. Yeah. 2 things that I hadn't really heard about when I started my healing journey was healing burnout and healing gaslighting. We can gaslight ourselves with our own healing. Do you think we're the first generation ever to do this healing, or did we lose it along the way? Oh, that's a great question. What I can say to this is, looking back on my childhood and my mom may not have known about the healing things, right? But I think what some of our parents may have done is taken what their parents did and they were like, you know what? I'm going to do the complete opposite. Or they fall into, I'm going to do the same. But I think that there are some people that tried to do things differently. It may not have been what the child needed, but I think that there were some attempts to do things differently. I think that from my experience, both personally and professionally, my generation really shifted things. So I'm 43, I'll be 44. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know. I don't have statistics or anything like that. Don't hold me to this, but just from what I've seen and experienced is that generation really was like, you know what, we're going to shake some shit up. We're going to do things differently and we're going to learn about it. And there was a lot of, information was coming out more about this type of stuff. This was always around. So Bowlby started attachment theory, which is actually, when did he start this? So the 1950s and 1960s, okay? But it was more about children. And so, Susan Johnson really took what Bowlby did about attachment and children and applied it to adults. And she started that, let's see. So the early 1980s. So that clocks with everything. And she created emotionally focused therapy, which is attachment style, which is what I do. Which is what I incorporate. All right, I'm catching up. Thank you, mods. You guys are killing it. Why, Danny? Why are you in trouble? We're never behind. That is for sure. Emotions were not allowed in your world. Yeah, for most people, emotions were not. Yeah. From my experience, we did what we lacked, but didn't do what we didn't know. Yeah, or the opposite. We did exactly what we were taught. Thank you, Tara. I appreciate you guys covering the chat. You guys are friggin' awesome. No, I'm not using a typewriter. I'm using my keyboard, but I'm obsessed with the keyboard sound. And so my husband found this for me for my birthday last year, I think. Some people hate it. Some people love it. All right, I think I'm caught up. Do we have any questions? So what do we mean by the stories we live in? Okay, so it's not about what actually happened in the moment. It's about the meaning that we're assigning to that. So say somebody pulls back and then what comes up for us is, I'm not important. I don't matter. Or someone forgets something. People can't be trusted, right? That may not be the case in this situation, but we take past experiences or what we interpreted or created that story to mean as a child and brought it back. I feel like this part of my healing journey, I feel like in this part of my healing journey, I'm really isolating from people and it feels good. And there's a season for that, right? There's a season to pull back. There's a season to lean in. But I hope I don't stay like this forever, because I lose a lot of things when I stay away from people. Yeah, and this is where the emotional awareness, having safe people where you can lean in and lean out, because there are seasons and times in our life where we do need to lean out and really go inward. And then there's seasons that we need to lean outward and have those connections, because I believe that as humans, we're created for connection. The keyboard. What signals show that a story in our head has drifted away from the actual evidence? That's so good. So let's say, I'm trying to think of an example that just happened. First, we have to slow down, okay, to even see, like, is this true in this moment? Okay. Man, let me think of an example so I can elaborate on it. Man, I'm having a tough time thinking of a situation or an example. But let's just say, okay, let's just take this one, that someone pulls back, right? Somebody doesn't text you back and they haven't been texting you back. And then we are like, you know what? I must not be important to them. I don't need them anyway. And it could flop, right? So if you go inward, it could be like, well, what did I do to make them mad at me? Or you go outward and you're like, you know what, fuck them. I never needed them in my life anyway. Is that actually about the moment? Is that actually about them not texting you back, right? Because do you know that that is why they didn't text you back? Did we reach out like, hey, I noticed you didn't text me back. I just wanted to check in. Like, did we get curious? Or did we just automatically go to what we thought was happening? Did that answer your question? Why does the brain prefer a painful story over sitting in uncertainty? Because it's uncomfortable sitting in uncertainty, and most of us have not learned how to sit in uncertainty because we don't know how to be uncomfortable. Because for most of our bodies, uncomfortable we've equated to equal unsafe, and those do not equal the same. Uncomfortable does not always equal unsafe, but we were never taught how to process or sit in uncomfortability, and so we try to move out of that. It can be difficult to ask someone to clarify what they're saying if I don't have an established relationship, maybe. Yeah, because it's vulnerable, right? Because the fear of rejection, the fear of what they might say, things like that. And we don't always have to reach out, but we can pause and get curious, like, is this true in this moment, or do I not know? If I missed something, y'all just let me know. Exposed can feel like a threat, right? So if we are vulnerable, which can feel weak, which can feel exposing, then we are open to be hurt. And that is a risk we don't want to take. In the past, it probably hasn't been safe to do that. And so the story today is that it's still not safe to take those risks, because when we take an emotional risk, we get burned, right? And the stories come from somewhere, also from experience. And so that can lead over to what is happening now, not necessarily about the actual situation, but what happened to us in the past. Because our body's trying to protect itself. Italian, I don't know what that means. Corey. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. Okay. Did I get to all the questions? If I missed your question, throw it in the chat now. So why do these stories form? We talked about because we needed meaning. We were trying to make sense of what was happening. Because kids need meaning. Uncertainty is scary for the nervous system, right? Because we need a lot around safety is predictability. And if we don't have predictability, then we're like, what do we do with that? It feels unsafe. Jane, welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. So the brain tries to create explanations. Yep, still trying to make sense. And oftentimes these stories show up when something feels different, right? There's a tone shift or conflict or disconnect or distance, disappointment, someone not responding the way, so having an expectation and not being met. Feeling misunderstood. There's so many, all of the above, right? It's a lot. Yes. And what happens, okay, here's the thing. Our nervous system, our body says, I have felt this before. Okay, and it will pull the information from when your body felt that in the past and pull it forward. It doesn't care if the situation is even the same or similar. It goes off how it made your body feel, not the logic of the actual situation. Can I get a 1 in the chat if that makes sense and you are following? And oftentimes this can leave us really confused and feel like crazy making a little bit, because we'll go through something and we will react a certain way and we're like, that doesn't even make sense. Why would we react that way? When maybe logically we understand, but our body speaks first. It hits our body first, and our body does not go off logic. Okay? It goes off feeling. It goes off sensations in your body. Pringles! I'm holding you and your family so close. Speaking that this weekend was as the best it could be. Good. So we're talking about the stories we live in, y'all. There is still some time to grab your seat for the sacred middle if you want to join us, ladies. Okay, so again, your body, your nervous system reacts. And you guys, it happens so fast that it does not have time to even register before what's happening. Introspection. Oh, you're speaking my language, Danny. Okay. Oh, maybe I misunderstood. Oh yeah, introspection. Yes. And you know, I think that having somebody safe to talk to about things is very helpful, and then you can begin to gain some solid ground and build that trust within yourself and start listening to self. I think I missed a pinned comment, y'all. Sorry. I'll get to it. I feel me and others from my life live in very different versions of the story we share. That's huge. Yes. What emotional payoff keeps people loyal to stories that hurt them? Well, because your body doesn't, because it happens so fast, we don't even know that we have a choice. Okay, so it's predictability, it's control, and that is a false sense of safety, right? So we don't actually know that it's even happening, and this is why I love talking about slowing everything down. And you're right, Pringles. This is why siblings, parents can all have very different experiences under the same roof. Yeah, we talk a lot about that here, Danny, and a lot of that can come from a trauma response, right? They're having to listen to footsteps, having to listen to tone, having to scan everything to make sure that you are safe. So pattern recognition, perspective, yep. Some people use it as a sense of identity too. Yeah, because it allows, and this kind of goes with the question Tara asked was, what does it serve? It serves from having to feel feelings, having to feel shame, because if we stepped outside of that, then maybe we would need to recognize that we could have done something different, and that is hard to sit with. It's really uncomfortable, things like that. I appreciate you guys. Slowing down is so vulnerable for some. Loss of past identity. Slowing down is really tough. Y'all, if you know me in person, slowing down is so hard. Okay, and first of all, growing up in systems that were based on production, that is how worth was set. That's how much you were loved, by how much you could produce, right? So it's really tough. And we're taught in school, in parenting, in social circles, in the work environment, corporate, the more you do, the more value you have. And y'all, it's taking me a really long time, and it's something I still work on, not having to prove my worth to myself or anyone, and that you do not have to struggle in order to be lovable. And the slowing down, we want to avoid it also because in our body, it cannot feel safe. It can feel, I remember that like peace and slowing down and being present, not doing something, felt like I wanted to crawl out of my fucking skin. It was so uncomfortable because I'm like, what do I do in this space? I was always doing something. Even when I was like watching a movie, I had to be crocheting or coloring because there was a lot. One, again, our programming. Two, then the thoughts would come in. So if we stay busy, the thoughts don't have to come in, right? If you have been in stories, finding truth is so confusing. Yes, because one is that you're creating a truth too, right? You're getting a choice to change things and create your own truth. And two is that uncomfortability in sitting in the truth. And when you have not been taught how to trust yourself or anyone else, how do you know what's true? What do you trust? If you don't trust anything, how are you going to trust healing, right? And this is a real thing. This is why I'm so passionate about having people find at least one safe person, one safe thing, even if it is nature, that is predictable, that you can find some solid ground with. Yeah, I hate slowing down. It's so tough. What makes someone willing to question the story they are holding? I think one is being able to hold the feeling of uncomfortability. I think you have to be able to do that at least a little teeny bit to begin to question, right? And I think the why for a lot of people is going to be different. Usually it's crisis. There's a crisis. And so people are like, okay, I need to do something different. And then when when we begin to question the stories is when we're wanting to choose differently. This is kind of funny because I've been battling a story I tell myself, but I decided I can change. That I can change the narrative, but it requires me to respond differently in situations that are same. I've been doing multiple things. Carrie, hello. Ba, ba, ba. Let me know if I missed something, y'all. I'm catching up. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Let me know if I missed something, you guys. I just skimmed through really fast. Does anybody have any more questions about the stories that we live in, the stories that we tell ourselves? A lot of the stories can show up, relationships, work feedback, friendships, text messages, parenting, being left out, someone not showing up, all the things, right? All the things. How often does silence from another person trigger a negative story? It depends on the person, right? And depends on what that brings up for that person. And what that does to your nervous system. So recognizing, like, say that somebody, say your friend goes silent or doesn't message you back, then just notice what happens to you. What words do you hear? How does your body feel? So can I just gaslight myself into a positive story? Yeah, you can. We can healing gaslight ourselves, right? So, but what does that mean? Like, are you trying to change the narrative? Before we change anything, I always suggest slowing down. First of all, recognizing, what story am I making about this? And that's the first thing, right? So if we can get that far, we're getting somewhere, right? And then validate. Like, it makes so much sense that would come up for me, and my nervous system, my body, however you want to say it, would make that story. That makes sense. Okay? We don't want to brush over that. We don't want to negate what is already happening, okay, with our body. We want to validate it first before we create change, okay? And then, so let me know if I got that, if I was on what you were talking about, Pringles, first of all. What part of your identity gets protected when you hold onto a story about negative or positive? Well, it can be whatever part we're trying to protect. Is it the image that we're trying to protect? Is it the connection we're trying to protect? Is it So yeah, getting curious about which part I'm trying to protect will also give us some more information about the story. If I gaslight myself into a positive story, aren't I abandoning a piece of myself? So this is where I was saying don't skim over what is happening to you now, because that's where we abandon, okay? If we don't validate, you don't have to reminisce, you don't have to go back there, you don't have to do all of that unless you want to and it's safe. But if we just skip over it, like, oh, I don't want to think this way anymore, I want to do it this way. But if we don't validate where it's coming from and what is happening into our body, then we're just bypassing, because we don't want to sit in the uncomfortability of where that story came from and why it's continuing to show up. I was the one who went silent and was told that was abusive. People don't, and there's a lot, it depends on the situation, but when we make a boundary, when, say, a lot of times this can happen. If you are for lack of better terms, a people pleaser, then when you begin to make boundaries, that can feel really harsh. It can feel harsh for you, it can feel harsh for the other person. And so they don't understand, right? Because that's not something that person would do. So getting curious about what your own choices and why you're making them, and also recognizing that when we switch, also from the opposite side, when you have been harsh and then you are you're becoming leaning into people, that can be really confusing, and there can be like, oh, now you're a softie, what is this about, right? So it's just when you shift something, people are not used to that, and so they're making their own story to understand it. I wish I was able to just decide I felt differently about myself in the moment. Oop. And not wrestle with it. Right. And I get that, right? We would all just love to not have to feel the icky feelings, right? And that's valid, and that's a grief, right? And that's a frustration and an anger, because fuck this. It's frustrating, right? Why can't we just skip the story and go into what's happening today? And I wish it was like that. Like, that's just a real grief and a real emotion that comes up around all this healing shit. I'm not even going to try to change it or sugarcoat it. The old story for so long in an attempt to change it. Who would you have to become if the story you tell yourself was about... Who would you have to become if the story you tell yourself about them was wrong? Yeah, so sometimes, and I love the questions that Tara's throwing out. This is also for you guys, right? To think about. If, say, like, a friend didn't text me back and I'm like, you know what? What a bitch. Like, I'm not important to her. She just doesn't fucking care. How could she do this to me? Right? So that would be the story that I'm telling myself. But if I were to, what would it mean about me if that story wasn't true about her? That I was judging. That I have created a story that if somebody doesn't text me back, then I don't matter. It would it would mean that I had to get curious and sit in the uncomfortable about what I'm thinking about myself and around other people. Oh, we're almost out of time, y'all. Whew, that goes by fast. There's still a few seats left for the Sacred Middle. Go grab them right now so we can continue this chat. Yes, I have been the villain before because I didn't respond the way someone else expected. Yeah. And just because somebody thinks that we're the villain doesn't mean that we're the villain. I think that everybody also is just trying to figure out how the fuck to protect themselves, and that can look very different from nervous system to nervous system. And again, it goes back to Boundaries are tough for both sides. People don't like being told what they can and cannot have access to. And then people also don't want to make boundaries because they don't want to lose connection, or what they think that might, what story they've put behind making boundaries. If I miss something, just let me know. I for sure stand firm on my boundaries. Let's go. And that, that makes people uncomfortable, especially people who can't hold their boundaries or are afraid to, around their boundaries. Thank you guys. Next week, y'all, we are talking about mom guilt. And if you're a dad in here, or you don't have kids or any of that, it's still going to be a conversation, because we all had mamas, or caregivers, or sisters, or women around our lives that would experience this, and how that affects us and them. So make sure to check that out. Again, just so you guys know, every week I put out content, videos for the following topic. So like, if you go to my page right now, you'll see that I have videos coming out about mom guilt already. Okay. Mom guilt is a mofo. Yes. All right, guys. I appreciate you. I will see the ladies in the sacred middle who will be there. Thank you guys. Remember, fuck perfect. And this journey is not for the faint of heart, right? I'm not going to come on here and tell you guys that there's a quick fix or that it's all butterflies and rainbows. No, but we are here learning together, the realness, authenticity, vulnerability. It's all uncomfortable, beautifully uncomfortable. And major fucking kudos for y'all for showing up week after week, having tough conversations, and doing the thing. Mwah. Bye.